Joe's exciting and new. Come aboard. We'll review the news. We love Joe's. Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I am your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker, baby.
And I am your co-host, the Doctor of Love, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I am your Cobra intern making love a battlefield, codename Legion Cub.
Ow! All right, well, I've got to switch these out immediately because these are not reading glasses. You may be shocked to discover, and I am not going to make it the next hour not being able to see the copious notes that I have in front of me, despite the changes that Hasbro made that we'll talk about in just a minute here. We got a bunch of people already in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Craig is here. Matthew's here. Rich is here. Tommy Throwback, what is up? It is good to see everybody here for the Love Stream. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. This one is going to be, you know what? It's always supposed to be an hour. We're probably going to go a little long. It's going to happen because we've got already a good amount to talk about, even without Hasbro's live stream today. And then on top of that, we've got a ton of sound offs, a ton. But before we get any further, I do have to get kind of serious for a minute. And I don't like getting serious at all. We don't like that here. We like to have fun, but sometimes people kind of impinge on your fun. So I want to make something absolutely 100% completely clear to every listener, to every viewer right now. We have a zero tolerance policy for hate speech here. No bigots, no bigotry, none of that. We don't put up with it. If you leave a comment that in any way is even close to resembling any kind of hate speech, you're going to get blocked. You're going to get reported. We are all about love here. And I say this because a couple of comments have popped up on the YouTube channel lately that are completely unacceptable. So if you're not sure, if you think to yourself, I don't know, this might be kind of hate speechy, don't post it because we don't want to see it. And we're going to let you know. So anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way. Zero tolerance for bigotry at Audible Interlude, period. All right, moving on to more fun things. This is the Needless Things YouTube channel where you can find toy reviews, G.I. Joe reviews, all kinds of stuff all the time. Every other week, there will be an Audible Interlude podcast live stream. Sometimes we'll reschedule it unnecessarily. Usually it's on a Monday. You can get shirts. None of us have them on tonight because we're all dressed for love. But you go to the pinned stories on Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram. You can pick yourself up a couple of different Audible Interlude t-shirts. And we have got exciting new designs coming very, very soon. I'm not going to name who we're working with yet because we got some stuff brewing. But if you've been paying attention, you may have figured it out. Very exciting stuff coming. Awesome designs. I got some previews. I shared them with the guys yesterday, and very exciting. Always like to have new merch. We might even have some event-specific items before too much longer, so keep an eye on that. Schedule. This episode will be available as an audio version this Friday. That's how we do the live streams. If you're here watching it with us, having fun, hanging out in the chat, then that's awesome. But if you're not, then you can hear this wherever you get your podcasts as a regular audio episode of Audible Interlude. Hence the name. Next Friday will be our regular just audio episode that we don't record video for. The segments, reviews, Instruments of Destruction, America's Elite, those kinds of things. And then our next live stream will be on February the 27th, unless Hasbro announces another live stream at the last minute and we have to change our plans and then change them again. But there's no history of them doing that, so I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. So anyway, if you don't know, what we're talking about. A lot of people are angry at Hasbro right now. Noel, Kristian, you guys have seen a little anger towards Hasbro.
Just a little bit.
Some of it's because of the layoffs. Some of it is because of the supposed ending of pre-order programs. There's all kinds of reasons to be angry at Hasbro. We're angry at Hasbro because they announced a G.I. Joe live stream for today. So we rescheduled our normal live stream so we could talk about the news, and then they canceled it. Although their makeup date, March 8th, actually works a lot better in our schedule because we'll have a live stream on March 13th, like a regularly scheduled one that we would have had anyway. So, it's a pain. I've got to be up at 3:30 in the morning tomorrow to go to work, but we're here love streaming it, baby. So let's talk a little bit. First, we want to offer our best to everyone that was laid off by Hasbro. These are all skilled people who I'm sure are going to land on their feet, find something else to do, if not in the toy industry, somewhere else, but all of our best to everyone. And this is how corporations work. This is corporate America. It's not fun. I can't imagine. Well, I can. I've been laid off before. It's extremely painful, but also change is often very good. And sometimes you can find great opportunities in what seem like bad moments. So let's hope that everyone finds a great opportunity and that their lives continue on in a way that, they hadn't imagined would be such an improvement. What else have we got? That was a lot. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to. There was a lot to cover there.
That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta bring it down a little.
We had a lot of housekeeping.
You can pick them back up.
Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. We welcomed. Oh my gosh, you guys are blowing it up. I love it. Craig, hey everyone. What's up, Craig? Rich, hey guys. Tommy Throwback, Kristian, be my Valentine. Alan Grant, hey boys, what's up, Alan? Agent Chuckles, good to see you here. Hopefully you can maintain your sense of humor. Let's see, Wilnius 7, hi guys, it's Thor Golden Cub here. Happy Joe Love Day. Midnight Desperado, shut the front door.
It is. But the back door is open.
Let's see. I'm good with Hasbro rescheduling. More money in my pocket for now. Yeah, you're not kidding, because we ended up still getting, real quick, you guys saw the Tracksuit Mafia pre-orders. I sent you the link to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got them because I collect MCU stuff anyway, and because I love the Hawkeye show. But, if you remember, Call Sign Longbow had kind of that kind of figure, and I could see people ordering that troop builder as sub Cobra lackeys, because the Molotov cocktail, all the weapons and everything that it came with, if you had a few of these guys standing around with the Dreadnoks or Major Blood or something as just the street level hired scumbags,
they're like Fireflies. They're like Fireflies guys.
Yeah,
the street.
Yeah, just causing problems. I dig
as soon as you sent that link and I saw it, the first thing that popped through my mind was, somebody at Hasbro saw Call Sign Longbow.
Well, what's funny though is the Call Sign Longbow design. I immediately thought of the Tracksuit Mafia from the Hawkeye comic. So it's zeitgeist. Pop culture will eat itself.
Yes.
All right. And speaking of Grindstone Toys, the people behind Call Sign Longbow, Skeletron gave us a little reveal today of the RoboSkull Retro Wolf Trooper, which I have got, if I can get this darn screen share to work. Let's see if I can bring this up so the people can take a look at it.
Be the people's champion.
Oh, man. I would love to. We are now sharing the screen. Can you guys see that?
Oh.
Look at how beautiful that thing is. That is a retro O-ring Wolf Trooper. And my gosh, think about how great all the stuff coming with the RoboSkull is going to look. Think about how great all the Call Sign Longbow stuff is going to look. Look at the sharpness in the detail on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, this very much so ties in to one of the sound offs we have later.
Yes. All right. And we've got more stuff to share. I'll tuck that away for now. And we will talk about. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. I'm gonna share the screen again because you guys didn't see this one. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and share. We'll share the Joe screen. Don't look at my notes. So take a look at this guy.
Oh, no. You did send that today.
Oh, did I send that to you guys?
Yeah.
That's not as large as I wanted it to be.
It's a tiny Zartan.
So what this is, it looks like it's basically like a concept toy. This is by, I've got the picture up. I can't look at my notes. If you get the name, it's the glowing ghost or something like that. We'll mention it after we look at the picture here. Can I make this bigger? Oh, here we go. Oh boy, that's a nice high resolution picture. Good job, Phantom. So what this is essentially a concept for a G.I. Joe. It was labeled as Mission Files on Instagram, but as an analog to the Star Wars Mission Fleet. So there was this, and then, why did everything go away? There we go. And then this. How great is this? I love the idea of a kid-friendly Joe line at retail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And especially
that's not like 11-inch figures with 3 points of articulation.
Yeah, right. Well, and especially something that's already in an established format, because Mission Fleet, the Star Wars Mission Fleet stuff is, very much out there at retail. Very common, seems to sell through fairly well. So to have a Joe product in that format would be awesome. I would love it.
And it's like, it's not unprecedented for them to do something like this. Like when they were doing, you had your Star Wars Galactic Heroes, then you had your Robot Heroes for Transformers, and you had your Combat Heroes for G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
So doing more of those kid-friendly lines together, I think is always a good thing.
Well, and that's the genius of those kinds of lines is with little kids, they just want more of the figures. They don't really care what it is, but then they end up with something like G.I. Joe and they're like, oh, well, this is really cool. Oh, there's other G.I. Joe stuff too. Well, what's this all about? Like, it's very much a gateway toy, for lack of a better term. So these were, all right, let me stop sharing so I can look at my notes and tell you guys. This, if you follow the Glowing Ghost on Instagram, those were, like I said, I believe they're just concepts. I don't think it's actual toys that are in any form of production because they have a lot of concepts up on their page. Definitely worth visiting that artist. They're a toy sculptor. They're legit, like they have done work for companies and stuff. So I just thought that was interesting to point out. I really dig those. Looks better than the chameleon that came with the modern Zartan. Yeah,
thank you. I was hoping somebody would say that.
The little tiny one we talked about when we did
although
America's Elite a few weeks ago.
The scuttlebutt on that one is that it was originally supposed to go with the Combat Heroes Zartan, which I still have, even though we talked about that months ago, I still have not put those things together to see how they work. But I mean, it seems like they would. All right. On February 1st, and this is, to me, was kind of the first sign that there were some, I don't know about upheaval, but there's some stuff going on with Hasbro. There's some stuff going on with the Joe brand at the moment, is all of a sudden out of nowhere on February 1st, it's declared that it's G.I. Joe Day. Like on the day of, with no preparation whatsoever, it's G.I. Joe Day.
Yeah,
we didn't know anything about
holiday
this.
We had no idea existed until that day.
Right. So that just seemed to come out of nowhere. And then what ended up making it great is they put Serpentor and Dr. Mindbender back up for pre-order. And because I am ever the delusional optimist, I ordered myself another Dr. Mindbender.
How many is this now?
to see if I could get one. with no stains.
You know what? Now watch though. They'll make an announcement that they redid the cape. It has the Cobra symbol on the back, and then Dave will be pointing the finger at us.
Look at this, Craig in the super chat. Thank you, Craig Dukas. You are the man. I appreciate that very much. Anything, we're not asking anybody to go in the super chat and make donations or whatever. I'm sure the kids have a better term for it than that. But every penny that we get goes towards either making merch, production of the show, hosting fees, whatever. It's all goes back into the show. So that is awesome. Thank you so much, Craig. Alan Grant, I just got a text from the courier. My Sky Striker is coming today. Awesome. Well, and the cool thing about that, Alan, is by now you've seen the reviews, you've heard about it. So like your expectations have been kind of managed a little bit. So while you're opening it up, you're prepared for like the little issues that there may be with it and can kind of just enjoy it on a more pure level rather than having these sky high crazy expectations. You know, now, like if I hadn't, like I said, if I didn't have the other HasLabs, I don't think I would have had very many problems with it at all. So I would rather be getting my Sky Striker after hearing about like people's thoughts, but I don't get that luxury because I got to review them right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. All right. So they reopened pre-orders for Serpentor and Mindbender. I don't remember what the dates were on those. I know they were pre-orders. I want to say it was like June, but I honestly didn't even pay that much attention to it because it's not like we run a G.I. Joe news show or anything. Yeah, I just ordered my Mindbender and we'll see if maybe he can somehow be stain free. You just got to pack that cape separately, guys. All right. And then we got 4 renders that I'm not a big fan of broke the internet because nothing breaks the internet. If you've seen the internet, it's been broken for a very long time now. But we got 4 renders that absolutely blew up the internet. Completely unannounced. We were not expecting anything like this in any way. So let me get back to that screen share and we can talk about these guys. First up, we got that render of Snowjob. I heard he likes to drink quite a bit. I'll never not make that reference when Snowjob pops up. And I do think that portrait looks a little bit like a grizzled Zach Galifianakis. I'm not
100%.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this?
Well, I'm a little upset it doesn't contain his laser rifle, but that's really my only complaint. Otherwise, it's a great looking figure. I did like that they went with a little bit of contrast with the black skis and snowshoes instead of them being white like the old one. So you've got a little bit of color pop in there as well. Not color, but a little bit of contrast in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Snowjob. You know him immediately. And the face sculpt is fantastic.
Well, and if you notice within his uniform, like it is a very, very, very light gray and white that I think looks great. And it is white. It is not that weird cream color. They're giving us the proper colorless hue. And at first I didn't like the black skis and snowshoes and ski poles. And then I like adjusted myself to like, no, wait, this is classified. We want more contrast, more detail, more things like this that look cool and just draw the eye up and down the figure, basically. And that's the brown web gear and the pouches and everything. Do the same thing. So it is, once again, I think they've got that perfect mix of being true to the original, but also updating in a very satisfying way.
Yeah, to me, he looks like a good mix between the original look and then what they were doing with like the 30th and 50th by adding the lighter gray color to it and not going to the extreme, with the camo.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want the camo on it.
No.
As much as I like some cool looking snow camo, save that for the Arctic bats when you do them.
Yeah.
Snow Job needs to be, he doesn't need camo. This is good. They nailed it. And if you notice his pack, it has slots for the snowshoes. It looks like there are actual like tubes, for lack of a better term, for the ski poles. If you see the two, like one on either side there, and then there are on the sides of the pack up towards the top, it looks like that's where the skis go.
Yeah.
Do you see those sort of loops on the side where the straps are? So, I mean, they've really, I mean, that's part of the magic of most classified figures is there's somewhere to store pretty much everything they come with. Now, obviously, you're going to have an extra portrait or an extra hood with this guy, but that's fine because that's amazing too. Like the fact that we're getting that extra portrait.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
That we are getting that.
And well, and look at the polarized effect on his goggles. Like just everything about this looks great. I want a James Bond like this was like one of the first things I thought of from the opening of oh gosh. Is it Octopussy where he's skiing? I don't remember. And then he goes off the side and he's got the Union Jack parachute, but whatever. This Snow Job just looks phenomenal. He's got that great rifle. Everything about him. Now we got to ask though, you guys, do you think this is a deluxe figure?
I don't know. Kamakura was a deluxe figure, and it had roughly the same amount of accessories as this one. So I wasn't even thinking about it until you just now said it.
Yeah.
Much less impressive accessories as well. Like this is all 100% newly tooled stuff. I would love for this to be just a regular release figure, but I am not counting on it. I'm expecting this guy to come in at like at least $32.99, but we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe he'll be in a wave with, you know, a couple of repaints or a low accessory count. I don't know that, you know, they balance those things out through the waves. It's possible, but considering the other three that we're about to discuss,
well,
let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Up next, well, we'll go back and forth. So up next, Noel, why don't you tell us about this guy?
Well, this one blew away my expectations. Obviously, I'm a big Scrap Iron fan, and they did a fantastic job with the figure itself. I think we did not yet conclude whether or not that helmet is removable, or did we actually determine?
We did. The sculptor. Oh wait, I've got a note on this. Oh, this is a problem when I'm screen sharing. I can't look at my notes. Hang on. There we go. I'm just gonna have to cover you guys up. So the sculptor Fred Axon, ACZON, confirmed that the helmet is removable.
Okay. So we do have a removable helmet, which is great. We've got obviously an upgrade to the standard rocket launcher that Scrap Iron came with, which, trust me, like I love that. It's one of my favorite things. It's one of the reasons why Scrap Iron was such a fantastic figure for me as a kid, because he was kind of a deluxe figure back then, because he came with his own little battle station, essentially. But they have just taken that to the extreme, put it on these treads, modernized it quite a bit. You've got all these blast effects, and of course the traditional looking rockets, but they're a little bit longer. I am really nervous about what the price tag on this thing's going to be, but I'm going to plunk down money for it on the first day it goes up for pre-sale.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Like this goes above and beyond the expectations that I had. And look, I'm not really a blast effects guy, but these look so cool.
Yeah. And this is one where blast effects make sense.
Yes. Yes. I am very curious to see what degree of articulation we've got on this little mini tank type deal, which, by the way, really paving the way for pack rats, because it definitely is along those same lines. I really enjoy the laser with a Z that's on the missiles. I think that's great. I'm pretty stoked about this. I'm fully expecting it to be around $44.99, but we'll see.
Oh, you are optimistic.
I was thinking between 45 and 50.
We'll see, because they already kind of have their tiers established. And I don't actually think, because I think the first thing I said to you guys was, well, this looks like almost the same as Serpentor.
Yeah.
I don't think it is quite that, but we'll see. And I don't know how many parts, like, I don't think those treads are going to roll, but it does look like each tread might be articulated. If you look, it looks like the where the tread is secured to that.
Like, it gives you the illusion that the whole treads are, but it's actually just two wheels.
Right.
It's kind of what that looks like.
So I don't know. We'll see. Whatever. This is beautiful. This is a work of art. Scrap iron looks absolutely perfect. The little remote control is awesome. His gut. Look at his pistol. His pistol even. I mean, this is just great.
Yeah, and I like the fact that because they've done scrap iron, and the original scrap iron's colors are a little bit probably too dark. His blue's a little too dark.
Yes.
They later had a lot more bright, like almost electric blue in one of the 25th scrap irons. The 2-pack that came with the Wild Bill is the one I'm thinking of specifically. But they kind of went in between with this one, where it's not quite. It looks like it's probably the same blue that maybe on the either on the Vipers. It's not as dark as the Cobra Troopers, but I think it's around the same color as the Vipers.
Well, and the red is definitely a nice bright red. Like, they're two shades of red. They've got a bright red, and then like it looks, man, the looks fantastic.
Yeah, they did a perfect update of it. They made sense of the straps around his waist there as well, where they're connecting to the holster on the side. So yeah, it's just a great looking toy.
What was when this popped up in your feed, Kristian? What were you thinking? As a figure photographer?
Beyond my expectations, honestly. I thought that the tank, when they announced him, that it would be more faithful to the original G1 look. And as soon as I saw the treads, I was like, oh, this is the update that I didn't know that I needed.
Yeah.
And as cool as the blast effects are, the ones for the rockets specifically are the ones that actually stick out to me the most, because that's giving us so many, I think, just on the shelf display options.
Yeah.
Well, and could those potentially peg into the HISS tank?
Maybe.
Possibly. I was saying years ago when I did this costume initially, and I built my rocket launcher, and I built it out of foam, but I wanted to be able to have it move because I was going to do it in the parade at Dragon Con. And I actually was looking at like RC tanks to see if I could piece together tread base for my rocket launcher to go on. And I guess somebody at Hasbro was listening to my thoughts that day.
Before we move on, we got to check back in with the chat. Boy, we got to scroll in. You guys are hopping tonight.
Nice.
Oh, Matthew Comstock, thank you so much for the super chat. Don't stop believing in Mindbender, Dave. I will never stop believing. Rich Murphy, I ordered another Mindbender for the same reason. Craig Dukas, waiting for the Python Patrol Mindbender with Pythonization lab set. Do it. I want to see that badly. Okay, so here we get an interesting conversation. Craig and Agent Chuckles both kind of point out, so buy that snow job body and put your other Joe's heads on it and build yourself a whole squad of Arctic Joes. If the peg fits.
I was thinking that, but then I really want them to release. If they're going to do exclusives a la like Tiger Force, do because they made some Arctic Gear Joes in the 25th line.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they did a ton.
do it again.
Let's see. Although the prices were a little different back then.
True.
Tommy Throwback, I'd love to see Snow Job sniper rifle in white. Absolutely. Kevin Riddle, I think all the new renders are deluxe figures. Kevin, I think you might be right about that. Speedy Anchovy, thank you so much for the super chat. Sorry, a bit off topic, but what's the best way to read classic G.I. Joe comics? I was using Comixology, but they removed them. Speedy. Eesh, I'm not sure at this point. We kind of talked about this a few weeks ago, that whenever the new publisher starts doing their thing, I think there's a good chance they'll probably re-release some trades. They'll probably put them back up digitally. For now, I don't know who you guys...
I think ye be looking for some maybe creative options there.
There may be a bay that
imports might be the answer if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And
imports.
I have not looked, but if Amazon still has stock of the trades, I mean, they'll still be selling them.
Right. Yeah. And that's
and they may even be clearanced out if IDW.
I bet the scalpers have already taken over that market. But yeah, that like if I needed them, that's what I'd be looking at right now is eBay and Amazon and trying to find just used copies of the trades that have already come out, the IDW trades. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough for a little while. It's gonna take some effort. Let's see. Oh, and Kevin Riddle, having this roll out of the hiss will be great. Yeah. If this actually fits into the back of the hiss and can be deployed, that is going to be awesome. All right. Next up, if I can get this, here we go. Kristian, why don't you tell us about the Steel Core?
You would pick this one for me. Okay, so we knew based off of the Sky Striker unboxing, they hinted that they were going to be doing an army builder of Joes with air battle taken into consideration. So we kind of knew that we were getting the jumps. I was totally caught off guard by this. I thought we were getting green shirts. So I do like the Steel Brigade concept. I like that we're getting a female trooper. This is where my other snow job head is going to go, because now he can join the Joes in other battles. And I think for all of you cats that did get like the selfie, the Hasbro selfie figures, now you can make yourself,
if the peg is compatible.
If not, buy a file. But I'm loving that we're getting the jump. I would love to see, I'm assuming it's just the straight up peg, like what's on the Joe backpacks.
Yeah, I think so.
And all of that.
What surprised me is that we're getting two jumps, because really what I was expecting with the description of land and air, I thought, okay, well, they'll have interchangeable accessories, but it'll essentially be one figure based for air, one figure based for land, but you can kind of swap things back and forth. I didn't think we'd get two full sets of the jump with, and I realized that the alternate helmet is for the jump.
Yeah.
Like that's a flight helmet.
Because if you notice, I mean, and not that it needs it, but I mean, it's just the jetpack part. There is no, control cable.
Right.
With the gun.
Well,
so
and that's fine.
I figure that's what's all built into the helmet now.
Well,
that's
and
update.
They never had all that business in the cartoons or even the comics. I don't think they had the gun in the wire thing. I think it was just the jetpack. So this is fine. And I never cared. My vintage Grand Slam with the jump, I don't have the cable and I don't care. Whatever.
They pretty much all broke off by 1984 anyway.
Right. Blast effects look fantastic. I love the jetpack effects. Just look awesome. The rifles that come with this, like this set is amazing. I'm 100% buying 2 of these at least, because I want to have both. I want to have 2 ground soldiers and 2 air soldiers. And heaven help me, I maybe I want more than that, even though I'm not troop building classified because it's too expensive. But these just look so cool.
It's funny though that we all were thinking green shirts when there's really no reason we should ever have thought green shirts, because with G.I. Joe Troopers, this is kind of the original way they did it with toys. So, it makes sense. I have never been a big fan of the green shirt concept personally. I think I've mentioned that because to me, G.I. Joe is not, it's not a legion of kind of of faceless troopers. They're all specialists of some sort. And at least with these guys, that there's multiple guys and they're all under masks, but they are the elite, being
but underneath of there, they have a face.
Right.
But to me, the green shirts were always just support. Like they weren't even necessarily G.I. Joes. They were the ranks that Joe called in for ground support.
They were temporary contract. They came from a temp agency.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Operation Cannon Fodder.
Let's see. What do we got here? Matthew Comstock. Vala what? Vala who? I don't know. Tommy Throwback. Really awesome weapon selection on the jump set. The removable suppressor is really cool too. Yeah, I like when that's an option. I like it even more when it can be stored somewhere, which I'm guessing probably we'll see. And the Wilnius 7, this pack is so cool. This is fantastic. This looks great. All right, and we've got one more render to share, and this is the one that I was the most excited about. And first of all, the flight pod looks incredible. I mean, look at that beautiful, clear, how much I like a bubble. Give me a vehicle with any kind of bubble canopy, and I am in. It just looks like classified perfection. It's hyper detailed, blown up version of the Trouble Bubble. They didn't feel like they needed to streamline it or make the cockpit part like a weird pyramid or some odd design choice. Like, it looks great. And then the Televiper, let's talk about the Televiper a little bit. First of all, I love that it also includes the backpack and the Noel, what is the gun called? Microwave something or other.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
not
like really a gun.
Called a scanner.
Well,
it was something scanner.
Well, and here's what it actually is, because today I was reading Real American Hero 95, and the Televiper was aiming that at the Baroness, and it was showing her feed from the video cameras in the facility that they were in. Oh. So he's like aiming this gun at her face, but it's just like a camera or a video screen on the end of the gun. So
I just figured it's how the Televiper plays Luigi's Mansion.
Oh man, that's the well, it's not the mashup we need, because guess what? Fresh Monkey Fiction is doing it.
Oh,
they're doing the Mario and Luigi.
Yep. Oh my gosh,
the Eagle Force figures. So I love that we've got the 2 different portraits. If you notice, they are indeed sculpted differently, as well as having different skin tones.
They got mirror image Elvis scowls.
Well, but it's not a mirror image. If you actually look at it, they are like, yes, they're sneering to one side or the other, but it's not just straight up a flipped image. It actually is sculpted differently, because the cheekbones are they're different. But that gave us these black sleeves and gloves that I think could use a little texture. Like, obviously we get why they did that way.
Well, it makes me wonder if the second head was an afterthought and they just went with the paint application and that's just supposed to be skin.
That, because wasn't the original figure
He had
At
short
least-
sleeves.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
original figure had short sleeves, and obviously they can't do that here. But I would just like, because all of the sort of bodysuit type thing, like Snake Eyes has, the mesh or whatever. Like there's
Mhm.
textures. This looks a little odd, and right at the bottom of the picture it says digital render shown. Final product may vary. So, it may be a little bit different. They may add a little something to those arms. And if they don't, it's fine, because I would rather I'm getting 2 of these anyway, because I want to have one in the flight pod and I want to have one with the backpack and the gun.
This is one that I really, really hope they decide to go with either a single carded one as a Walmart exclusive, or at least release this on its own as well, because I want a lot of these guys, but my wallet does not want me to buy that many trouble bubbles with them. I could always probably flip the trouble bubbles if I, want to recoup some money, but the figures, I definitely want an army of Televipers.
Well, and if Walmart's retro line does continue in some form, although it's starting to look like we may not even get the rest of the releases. I don't know what's going on with that. But
I think my Zartan got pushed back again.
Well, I don't even know what the status on mine is. I don't get updates from them or anything, and I haven't gone to look. But yeah, this would obviously be a big candidate for a retro release. It'd be very easy for them to just repaint this one and put it out there. Well, and check out that alternate helmet with the closed face mask helmet. and the blast shield down. He can't see anything. All right. Well, that is everything from G.I. Joe Day. Let me end this screen share and get our big, beautiful faces back up on the screen. Let me get my notes back where they belong. And we will continue on. But first, we're going to check in with the chat. Tommy Throwback, do you guys modify your Joes at all? Painting weapons, 3D printing parts, swapping pieces, or do you have to keep them as is? I'm not a huge fan of that. Well, I like seeing that stuff, but for my personal collection in general, I want the figure on the shelf how it came, with the stuff that it came with. As much as I love like gridiron props and things like that, I just don't. I'm already spending $22, $25, $32, $50 on these figures. I don't want to spend $25 more for their loadout, just because I collect so much other stuff. I just can't get into that. As far as painting and everything, nah.
So
no, I don't have any motivation for that.
I have been on the fence for a while with some of the earlier weapons, especially Beachhead, because everything that came with him was just a flat green. And honestly, with some of the recent figures, especially like Tiger Force Rakondo, where they took the time to paint the wrappings on his gun, it's got me even more strongly wanting to go back and paint Beachhead's weapons. So maybe before our next live.
I think
because I've done that with other figures. I'm big into getting. I mean, I haven't really done it with classics that much, but with like 3 3/4 scale figures and with Masters of the Universe figures, I'm all about getting 3D printed stuff to enhance them if there's, something that looks better than what they came with.
And I actually bought some stuff from Mark II Designs at Joe Fest last year. I got a jump. I got the Sunbow laser rifle, or Snow Job laser rifle, I guess, and a couple other things, and just couldn't find quite the right way to display them. Like, I didn't want to take anybody's backpack off. I didn't feel like there was anyone. I don't know. I just, stuff like that is awesome, and I'm glad it's out there. And for people that are using it, that's great. But for me, I like having the figure. To me, part of the art is how it was presented by the company that made it. Yeah. Like, that's part of the aesthetic. That's part of the appreciation. So yeah, I don't mess with mine too much. Although later in the show, I might have a little something to share.
Oh,
Having said all that, let's see. Kevin Riddle, flight stand would be awesome. A flight stand would be awesome for the flight pod, or at least have some kind of connectivity for those existing Hasbro stands. My son's got some of those, the Hasbro like articulated stands for Marvel Legends or whatever. They're fantastic. And
I think there will be some. I mean, if you go on eBay, you can find flight stands for a plethora of the different Joe vehicles that were never intended to have them. Yeah.
Right.
So I know it's without knowing what the underneath of that trouble bubble is going to look like. I'll be surprised if anybody has them before it's released. But man, I think once that thing starts hitting, it may not be official Hasbro, but we're going to be able to get them.
Well, and people even do things like stands that are almost like kind of a claw type thing so that the vehicle can sit in it. Like I've seen all kinds of wild options for different things. So there'll be something out there. And yeah, it would be great if Hasbro included it. But at the same time, if it would jack the price up $10, they can keep it because I'm going to hang mine from the ceiling anyway. All right. Super 7 comes running in with more and probably the least surprising, but also kind of took us by surprise anyway, announcement of Tiger Force and Python Patrol reaction figures. And what's fun about these is most of them are characters that were not Tiger Force and Python Patrol in the original toy line, but have appeared that way in the comics. Specifically on a comic cover. I think it might have been a Devil's Due cover, but the characters we're getting are Python Patrol, Baroness, Destro, Cobra Commander, and a bat. And then Tiger Force, Duke, who obviously has always been Tiger Force, and then Scarlet and Snake Eyes. What's interesting, and I should have saved an image of this cover, but I couldn't remember where I saw it. But Python Patrol Destro has a red mask.
Oh.
Yeah, a metallic.
I'm trying to pull mask. It up.
So these will be fun. I don't honestly know that I'm all that interested in them. If I walk into a store and they're there, I know how I am. If they look weird enough, I'll get them.
Wow.
Did you find the cover?
I didn't find the cover. I found some custom figures that people made based off the cover.
Okay.
That is pretty cool. The yellow cape. It uses the version 2 body, but that chrome red. Seeing this, I'm kind of like, I would love to see this in classified.
Oh, here it is. I found it. Let me see if I can get a decent image of this up online, and we'll do a little screen share. Oh boy, that's gigantic.
I don't know why
Hang on, guys. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I even type in comic cover and nothing comes up.
I've got it. So this was a special, and I guess shout out to TroyMcKee.com. This is a special variant cover for one of the comic books, and you can see Python Patrol Destro back up there with his red mask, Cobra Commander.
Red mask.
Like these look pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of want them, and I'm kind of mad at myself for wanting them.
Yeah, I like the Baroness with the who's still got her mane black, but she's got the yellow bands, and then the green with the yellow crosshatch on the boots and the gauntlets and everything, and the shoulder pads as well.
Well, and it's
her look
interesting.
is probably my favorite of all these.
It's interesting that there's a Python Patrol hiss here because on the, what was it for? I think it was for the Tiger Force Duke. There was a Python Patrol hiss on that, on the classified Tiger Force Duke. It was wreckage, but it was there. So yeah, this is interesting. Super 7, never stop Super 7ing. You guys keep doing what you do.
Yep, and you know what? They're going to get all the mileage they can out of those molds.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which is great.
Well, that's when I saw that. I was like, repaints from Super 7? No.
Yeah. Hey, people are buying them. They don't last that long on the shelves when I see them at Target. So
yeah. Oh no, they seem to cycle through. And hey, more power to them. As long as they want to keep making them, I'll keep buying them. I can't remember if this happened before the last show or not. I got the newest wave. Oh, no, this is new. And I should have them over here with me, but I don't. I got the newest wave of reaction figures because Super 7 had a customer appreciation day where they had 20% off everything. So I ordered that whole wave because that's the best price I was ever going to, even with shipping, that was the best price I was ever going to get on it. And they're fantastic. That Raven they're all great. They're great. The Duke and the Snake Eyes, who would seem to be the least exciting ones of the set because we've already got Duke and Snake Eyes. But the fact that there's a soft goods net, the trident, the little, like, all the weapons they come with, Duke's laser sword, like, oh, they're so great. We're very unlikely to ever see all that from Hasbro. All right, speaking of Super 7, we have a pre-orders update. Wave 1, which was Duke, Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, and the Cobra Bat, scheduled to ship to customers in late February, which we are almost into late February now. So very, very soon. Wave 2, Baroness, Destro, Flint, and Lady J, scheduled to ship late April. And Wave 3, Doc, Scarlet, Storm Shadow, Cobra Soldier, scheduled to ship in late June. So we will have 3 waves by the middle of the year. And I do believe Brian Flynn had said that once Wave 1 was in people's hands, they would announce Wave 4. So that's cool too. So we can look forward to that in 2027. I'm kidding. I love Super 7. You guys know I do. All right, where are we at? At this point, let's check back in with the chat. Want a trouble bubble so bad? Yes, of course, we all do. My gosh. Noel and Kristian, we're almost an hour deep into this thing. Where are you guys? Anything you wanted to throw out there? Anything you wanted to bring up before we get into Sound Off?
I say let's go deeper.
Is it time for sound? We're an hour in and we're just now getting to sound off. Let's sound off. So I'm going to go back to screen share because I actually, the easiest way to do this time, because we got so many of them, was to literally just get screenshots of our sound offs. And basically our new format for sound off. If you don't know, follow Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Why is my lighting so? Oh, because my screen went away. Let me fix that. There we go. That's better. So if you don't know, you need to follow Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. And every time we're going to do live stream, sometime earlier in the day, boy, that's bright. Let's see. While I love my Audible Interlude hat, I got to feel like my Skeletron hat is just a little sexier for the occasion. So what was I talking about? Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Every time we're doing a live stream, we will put up a sound off post where you can tell us what you want us to talk about. But what we're going to have to do now is kind of just off the top of our heads discuss these things because we're getting so many of them. It's just not practical to go too in depth. And you know us, we just skim the surface. We rarely ever dive into a topic. But right here from KB Jodographs, Will we ever see an October Guard classified run?
Yeah.
I think that if the line continues, you'll probably get one character, maybe like a Red Star first, and then maybe we'll go deeper with that. I'm actually really surprised we haven't gotten any in reaction yet.
I think, well, and see, that may be down to Hasbro, because we know that Hasbro, even though Super 7 gets to have a lot of fun and kind of do their thing, we do know that Hasbro has rules.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could definitely see October Guard characters. I don't know that we're ever going to see them referenced in the way that we think of as the October Guard, just because of international issues.
I mean, they were the good guys for the most part.
Well, and I think only 2 of them were actually Russian, but still, I it would be very easy to repackage them as something a little more palatable. But yeah, I think we'll see the characters for sure. All right. The Iron Grenadier. Speculation about today's rescheduled Pulse live stream. What were they planning to reveal? Speculation. I don't, to be honest, I don't have much to speculate about, because we're going to get it on March 8th. So it's like, I'm good waiting. But between those renders that we just went over, I don't,
I presume that several of those we would have gotten the actual figures in hand with them, and they would have put the pre-orders. That probably would have been the bulk of it.
Well, yeah, we'll get the same thing we always get. We'll get pipeline, renders, figures, pre-orders.
I mean, there's still so many that were announced many months ago we haven't even seen renders for.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, I don't know what they will be, but we'll find out soon enough. I'm just not big on speculation, because that way leads to disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit back and let it roll over you. All right. Mandalorian Jedi. Boy, got a long one here. Since we all know that G.I. Joe is the world's most elite fighting force and not Michael Biehn and a bunch of unnamed Navy SEALs, what no more than 10-man team would you assemble to infiltrate the Rock 1996 with Dr. Stanley Goodspeed and former SAS Captain John Mason in order to surreptitiously disarm 16 VX gas-loaded rockets under heavy guard by Brigadier General Francis Hummel and a rogue group of Force Recon Marines before they can be used against the unknowing public? Which, by the way, if anybody listening to this or watching this has not seen The Rock, do yourself a favor and watch that on the biggest screen you can. That movie is amazing, and it is totally a G.I. Joe cartoon episode, just without the military characters having the distinctive personalities of the Joes. So what, you've got airtight for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Due to the nature of the gas.
Tripwire,
right?
Yeah.
You
gotta have Snake Eyes in there.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is definitely going to be in there,
Scarlet,
no matter what.
That's a given.
Well, is it Scarlet, or is it Flint? Is it Duke and Scarlet, or is it Flint and Lady J? I think it's Flint and Lady J. Ooh,
they're too busy hanging out in Targets and Walmarts. It's Scarlet.
Now, when the Joes went to Alcatraz in that one episode of the cartoon, who did they send? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I can't remember at all. I barely remember that happening, and I just rewatched the whole thing like a year ago. Alpine. You want Alpine, and if you've got Alpine, you've definitely got Bazooka. But at some point, they're going to need to scale something. It's Alcatraz. Yeah. So whether they come in on, they're going to come in on like Devilfish and approach like whatever the sheerest wall is of Alcatraz. That's how they're going to get in. So they'll send Alpine up to do that. So that's what? Airtight, Tripwire, Snake Eyes, Alpine, Bazooka. That's 5. Do you need more than 5? I don't think we need 10 men and women.
Yeah. Maybe, and you could have some not unnamed Navy SEALs, but you could have your Navy SEAls in there too. So you could have your torpedo, and your wetsuit.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We need torpedo or wetsuit. Okay. So you've got torpedo, going in with the team, but Deep Six is actually piloting whatever craft they show up in.
Mm-hmm.
Like he stays on the boat or whatever. But he's there. So who's our lead on
Shipwreck? Because you've got to have someone who's
Shipwreck.
making funny comments the whole time.
Yeah. And then Stalker. Let's send Stalker in.
Stalker's leading the thing.
Yeah. Stalker's field command. All right, there you go.
Boom.
Griddle Games. Still eating those waffles, or I guess pancakes are off a griddle. We're the Steel Corps, the Mole Rats, or are we getting another troop builder? I think they're the Mole Rats.
Yeah.
I think that's what Emily was referring to. And I also think that would explain why she said people were going to be so excited about it, because they knew exactly what they were doing with the Steel Corps / brigade. I was under the impression of the Mole Rats being Joe's Still Hoping for Green Shirts. I never heard or seen the Steel Corps being called or referred to the Mole Rats name only reveal. Yeah, it was never tied directly, but I think it's the same thing as Bazooka being Camelot or whatever the heck his name is in Target.
It's just their names, like all of the literary ones they did for the 2020 releases.
Right. That's what I think. I think it was just the code name, but we may be wrong. We'll find out. Sergeant Action. Who's your favorite G.I. Joe Cobra couple and why? So I was prepared for this one. And my favorite G.I. Joe Cobra couple is literally a G.I. Joe Cobra couple. And that is Mainframe and Zorana, who the camera will absolutely not focus on, but there they are. Just loving it up here in the Lovestream. What about you guys? Oh, and why? I didn't say why. Why? Obviously, because it's very interesting pairing. It's the the enemies meeting up, and they had like a really interesting rapport in the cartoon, just because seeing something like that in the Joe cartoon, that typically relationships were either the Alpine and Bazooka picking at each other, or the Flint and Lady J just kind of generic love story. Like this was actually part of the storytelling and played into the plot of a couple of episodes. And that was the other thing, that it continued on. It wasn't just a one-off episode. You've also got to think about the fact that we've discussed it before. Mainframe's an older dude. So there's that winter-spring relationship aspect to the relationship as well.
Although they never ever brought that up outside of
no.
Like Larry Hama's initial description of him.
But Hama said it, and as far as we're concerned, Hama word is bond. What about you guys?
I always did love the Mainframe Zorana in the cartoon. They only touched on it in a couple of episodes, but that was always something really exciting to me. I think as far as like established ones that run the test of time, I'm a Flint and Lady J guy. Always have been. I know Flint's kind of a jerk in the cartoon, but I always liked the way that he was utilized in the comic, and I always loved Lady J's character. And they're both so like they're highly educated elites. They both are really great at their jobs, so it makes sense that they would be this couple together.
So I actually took it as G.I. Joe separate, Cobra. So I'll start with Cobra.
Okay.
And my favorite Cobra, I'm actually not going to say couple. It's more of like a triad or quad, which is the Marvel Comics, the way that Destro, Baroness, and Major Blood, with a little bit of Cobra Commander, that whole relationship, the way that she constantly plays all them. I know it's not like loving.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was such a great dynamic, and it's something that I feel like we kind of lost a little bit as the series went on.
Oh, definitely.
But
although
the way that she was in love with Destro in the comics, but that love was not strong enough to ever make her betray Cobra.
Right.
So I always thought that was very interesting. And as for my favorite G.I. Joe couple, it will forever and always be Shipwreck and Polly. Because there is no one that gets him like his girl.
Podcast from the Pit. Everybody check out our pal Casey and Podcast from the Pit. Would you rather they make more O-rings or reboot a modern 3.75-inch figure line? And if it is new modern, how would you like to have it rolled out? Thank you. Podcast from the Pit. More O-rings, 100%. I said it, I think, on the last episode. 25th, 50th style stuff. I'm just not. I've got a lot of it. O-rings right now are more exciting to me between Operation Recall, Call Sign Longbow, and then hopefully Hasbro doing more stuff. I'm just enjoying that format. So for me personally, more O-rings.
So as the person that was out of O-ring when the 25th came along and have recently been getting back into it, this is where that Skeletron Trooper earlier comes into play. Going back and getting some of the original O-ring figures from the line again and comparing them with like the O-ring figures that came with the Sky Striker. I want more O-ring, but Hasbro, you need to step your game up.
Yeah.
Because the sculpting, the figures are just soft. Not, when I say softer, I don't mean the plastic. I mean just the
features, the details, the pockets, the belt buckles, the sleeves.
They're just puffy and soft looking. And when you see what other companies are doing with O-ring, there's no reason why we can't have detailed O-ring figures, or at least ones that look as good as some of the original Joes.
But you've kind of got to look at the market right now. For a weird comparison, retro wrestling figures based on like the Hasbro style WWF figures, there are like 5 different companies making those. Mattel is making them again. Zombie Sailor Toys, Wrestling Collector or Figure Collections. There are a number of different companies, and at least 2 of those companies, to me, their product looks better than what Mattel is doing. And part of it is because Mattel is mass producing them and in their heads kind of looking at a different market. And I don't think Hasbro can afford to look at O-rings the same way. I think they need to be putting out the best O-rings on the market.
Agreed.
Noel, I think we know your answer, but
yeah, it's O-rings. I was never a big fan of the modern line, the 25th/50th line. Just never collected them. Was still not crazy about the dimensions of the figures. So I'm always going to be an O-ring guy. And more vehicles.
Yes, more vehicles, please. And at a price point similar to the Stinger.
Yes.
Channing Sherman, what's up, Channing? Alternate G.I. Joe Cobra couples. Example, if Mainframe and Zorana break up, what in-universe characters should they ask out? Do it for all the known couples. We absolutely do not have time to do it for all the known couples. Since I already mentioned Mainframe and Zorana, I will say if Mainframe and Zorana to completely end it, cut everything off, no good anymore. I mean, Zorana obviously has to go back to Road Pig, her one true love. And Mainframe, who would be a good match for Mainframe? Maybe Helix. Maybe he chats Agent Helix up a little bit, although I think that's an even bigger age discrepancy than him and Zorana. So maybe, maybe not. Maybe not.
Was it Damon or Firewall? Which one was the girl? That was under him for a while, which is probably not a good idea because he was her mentor.
Maybe opposites attract, and Bomb Strike is on the field.
Okay, because that's where I was going with it. In the way I think about it, Mainframe probably didn't have a girlfriend or any relationship before Zorana because he is all into the tech, and she was just wild enough.
Right, she's crazy.
That's what drew him to her. So when she breaks up with him, he's just.
But did he learn his lesson about the bad girls, and now he needs to like tone it down a little bit? I don't know. It's a tough call. All right, you guys, what pick a couple and some alternates.
I'll go with my couple that I mentioned before. It's Flint and Lady J breakup. You know, I think I think Jinx is going to get tired of Falcon's chicanery, and she likes guys with berets, so I might slide on in there. As far as Lady J goes, I mean, she's definitely not. She's going to need somebody with a little bit of intelligence. And hey, Mainframe's single now, so why not?
Okay. I like that. That makes sense. Kristian?
Yeah, so when Alpine and Bazooka break up, Bazooka's totally going after CoverGirl, and Alpine's going outside of Joe.
Yeah.
Bazooka's just going to break his heart.
Alpine's going out, hitting the clubs.
Yeah.
Like he might even spiral a little bit, just trying whatever, because obviously he's a thrill seeker.
Right.
You don't become a mountain climber being conservative,
with someone the size
playing
of
it
Duke.
safe.
No.
Right. Yeah. All right. There we go. Shop Slickalicious. Everybody needs to be following Shop Slickalicious on Instagram. And everybody go follow all these awesome people. Communications Breakdown. Anybody else look at GIJoe.com lately? Checklist, etc. Haven't really been touched since 2020 or so. I mean, it seems pretty clear they launched the website just because the brand was relaunching and that they don't care about it at all.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this on an episode at some point about like, hey, this website looks the same as it did when we first started doing this podcast 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that their plans with the brand changed as they shifted away from the whole futuristic Nerf look, because
what it means is that we're still getting that Sand Scorpion and sci-fi at some point in time.
I want
still listed.
I still like that sci-fi. I like that one. Here's my suggestion. Forget about the website. Nobody cares about websites. Get somebody doing your social media. Get a social media presence where you're promoting the characters, where you're really like sharing clips of the cartoon, like get people engaged on social media. And I don't understand why toy companies can't understand this, because Mattel doesn't do this with any of their brands either. Like, hire social media people, get people, because that's how you're going to connect with new customers, is get on TikTok, hire some of the finest to get on TikTok and do G.I. Joe stuff to promote the brand. Like, that's how you're going to get young customers, young devotees to the brand. That's easy, Hasbro, super easy. Forget your website. Biddix J. Patrick, what are the signature items in your collection and why? Easy one for me. I think you guys could probably all guess it. It's that Special Missions Brazil set that I've got on those awesome stands from, oh gosh, I wasn't ready to talk about him, so I cannot remember. He's on Facebook, but the pictures are on Instagram. That's definitely my Joe centerpiece, is that Special Missions Brazil set, complete with the cassette tape. Not mint in box, although someday, maybe, but yeah, that's my centerpiece.
Go ahead, Noel.
I think mine, it's hard to say because there's some things I've acquired more recently that are definitely the biggest pieces of my collection now. I've got an HQ. I've got the mobile HQ that I acquired recently. And I'd say probably the signature piece in my collection is my Night Raven. If I'm looking at the ones that I've had since I was a child, that's got to be the one it's the one that I immediately draw people to. Is like, hey, check out my Night Raven when they're over here looking at my collection.
So once again, I was thinking way more outside of the box and looking at my G.I. Joe collection as a whole. And my signature piece is my shipwreck costume. And
nice.
That is
That's
because
good.
No, that totally counts.
Yeah.
it is through that is how I met these guys and so many other Joe fans outside of like the Orlando group that I knew. So it has, a very special place. And even if I can't ever fit into it, it's still going to be hanging up in my closet.
Mountain Nut, your favorite G.I. Joe and vehicle to collect. So from the way that's phrased, I guess it's just your favorite character and vehicle, I suppose.
Or ones that you'll collect multiples of if they come out.
Yeah, that makes sense because I mean my favorite is Firefly, and I'll buy any different variation of Firefly that gets put out. So that, I guess that would count. And as far as vehicle, if they would make more whales, I'll buy every one of them they want to do. Give me a Tiger Force whale, a Python Patrol whale, whatever you want to do. Even if you want to make a neon green like Echo Warriors whale, I'll buy it. Let's do it.
I would say, looking at my collection, what other people might think my answer to this question would my favorite vehicle be Ram Cycles, because I have tons of them. It seems like every time that I encounter a G.I. Joe lot, there's a Ram in there somewhere. So I've got like 7 or 8 of them, and I've kind of got them posed around throughout my collection. But I will say this, I love the Vamp mold. So any variation on that, I'm going to go out and buy. If it's a Vamp, if it's a Stinger, if it's a Tiger, Cat, or no, what is it? It's a Tiger. We've had this discussion 1,000 times.
Is it Tiger Sting?
It's Tiger Sting. Yes, I always forget.
Okay,
it's based on the Stinger
because
name.
it totally, right. It doesn't completely make sense, but it does.
It does when you think, okay, it was a Stinger.
Right.
Yeah. So anything with that vehicle, I even like all of the ones that they release in other countries that are not G.I. Joe related. I actually thought about buying those just to put them in my collection.
Some of those are really cool. I like.
Yeah.
Is there like a red one? I'm thinking of?
There's like a police one. There's
yeah, those are neat.
They're neat. And they're sold in other countries, and you can get them online cheap for $20 or so.
And look, Hasbro, money on the table. Release those. You've got the parts.
Just these aren't even like
cranking them out,
licensed by anybody. Like these were just
right.
Someone
but
else
Hasbro
got a hold of this mold.
Hasbro could release like Police Jeep with
right.
Law and Order.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, something like that.
Do variations on that.
Guys. What are you doing?
Yeah. Character, we talked about it before. Scrap iron. I'll buy any scrap iron you put out.
Yep. So character, Shipwreck. He's the only one. I actually, unlike the Dave and Noel, I try not to have more than one, maybe 2 versions of a character if they're drastically different. So if you look at my shelf, Shipwreck would be the only character that I have multiples of, and I'll still buy any variant of him I see. As far as vehicles, I have one of whatever I need. If I end up with an extra, I sell it off. But when I think of what molds I really like, that if I had unlimited space, I would buy multiples of, it would be the water moccasin.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's another one that I would definitely, any kind of repaints or anything of that they did, I would just buy it. Definitely. And I believe this is our last sound off for the episode Silent Interlude. When will we see the classified Snow Serpent design? Maybe March 8th.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe
we got.
I think we'll see a render.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we might see a render.
Yeah, I mean, I figure if they've got the snow job out now, you kind of feel like he needs to follow shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, guys, we do not have time for Joe and Tell because, like I said, I got to be up at 3:30 in the morning, so we got to wrap this thing up. Our music is by Andy Samford of electricminnowmusic.com. I believe somewhere in the chat earlier, somebody said they wanted to have some music made. Hit up electricminnowmusic.com. Tell them Dave sent you. He is a genius. He can do whatever you want. I sent him 3 different things as inspiration, and he made all of our theme music as like one track to be cut up and used as we wanted. So he's incredible, a genius. He did the whole thing himself. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast, on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible. Kristian, where can we find that figure photography with your watermark?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram under Legion Cub.
Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming group that we, of course, raise money for a fantastic organization called Canines for Warriors. So if you ever thought about dressing up like your favorite G.I. Joe character, check out thefinestcc.com or go to the Finest Recruitment Center on Facebook for more information.
Well, everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up on this night of love and making a little bit of time for us and a little bit of space in your heart for G.I. Joe. Kristian, Noel, thank you for once again sitting down and talking about something that we all love so much. And as always, yo, Joe!
Cool.